Hello. Today I'm going to read you part 5 of the Super Awful Superheroes of Classroom 13. If you haven't been following along, these kids in this classroom all got struck by this purple lightning, and they all received a superpower. And every chapter we've been learning a little bit about what each kid, what superpower they got, and if they enjoyed it or not. All right, so we are on chapter 21 with Benji. No one had seen or heard from Benji Berenstein for days. Miss Linda and her students were worried. So were Benji's parents. The police put together a search party, and the superheroes of Classroom 13 were looking everywhere when they weren't doing their homework. At the end of the week, Miss Linda was beside herself. She had been the last person to see Benji, right before the lightning struck. Where could he be? Miss Linda felt something on the back of her hand. She thought it was an ant until she realized it was tap dancing. Then it jumped up and down and waved at her. It looked like, but it couldn't be. Miss Linda grabbed a magnifying glass from her desk drawer and looked through it. She gasped, "Benji?" "Hey, Miss Linda," his voice squeaked. Benji was tiny. His superpower shake him down to itty-bitty-bitty, weeny-teeny. Miss Linda was both shocked and horrified, but Benji didn't mind it so much. He'd always loved miniature things. When he was normal size, he drank juice from doll-sized teacups. He sharpened his pencils down to tiny nubs so he could have the littlest writing utensils. He even started a miniature animal business once. But that's a whole nother story you probably already know if you knew Benji. For Benji, being tiny was the biggest thing that had ever happened, so he'd been having fun. It turns out when you're super small, everything else is super big. That meant traveling across Classroom 13 didn't take seconds, it took days. Desks were as high as mountains, books were as big as buildings, and specks of dust rolled around like giant tumbleweeds. Cockroaches were the size of trucks, and they were not nice when they thought you were dinner. Mini Benji had barely survived by learning to use a broken staple as a sword. He'd also befriended a group of ants, each the size of a horse, who led him to a pile of corn chip crumbs underneath Mark's desk. He'd never been so grateful for someone's leftovers. Mini Benji told Miss Linda all this while she fed him water through an eyedropper. One drop was like a giant waterfall for Benji. As he drank, he began to grow, though not much. As soon as he reached 6 inches tall, he stopped growing. His parents came to pick him up, and his mom cried all the way home. But his little sister couldn't have been happier. She let him live inside her dollhouse as long as he agreed to be nice to her Barbie. Chapter 22, Sophia. Sophia wanted to save the planet. That's why she'd started the school's recycling program, spent her weekends planting trees, and picked up litter for fun. She didn't need a cape to be a hero, just the desire to keep planet Earth as green as possible. Before the purple lightning struck, Sophia was gazing outside. It hadn't rained in weeks, and the grass outside was turning brown. So when Sophia got powers, it just so happened that she could control the weather. The first thing she did? Make it rain. When the plants were all watered, Sophia said, "That's enough." Then a huge wind came and pushed the clouds over the next town. "Amazing," Ava said. "That's the coolest power ever," Triple J said. But Fatima warned, "That's a really big ability. Be careful how you use it, or else." Sophia shrugged, ignoring Fatima's advice. That week was the best of Sophia's life. She could create miniature rain clouds to shower her garden, she could make a gentle breeze to blow dust off her indoor plants, and she could make little lightning bolts to zap her annoying brother. When Sophia was happy, the sun shined bright outside. When she read a sad story, it would get cold and gray. If she got angry, usually because of her brother, the wind would get so wild it knocked down all the trash cans in her neighborhood. It even knocked down a few streetlights. Sophia's weather powers got so strong that when she watched a sad movie and started crying, it began to storm outside. The problem was, Sophia loved sad movies. If it was a tearjerker, she'd watch it. She loved to cry. But it all turned bad on Saturday when she decided to have a sad movie marathon. At first the weather was just foggy and drizzling. Then it began to rain. Soon it began to hail. Then the storm turned into a full-fledged flash flood. At this rate, the town would be completely underwater by the end of the night. Fatima rowed a boat over to Sophia's house. She climbed through Sophia's window and unplugged her TV. "Hey, I was watching that," Sophia moaned. "Have you looked outside?" Fatima asked. "Your weather powers are connected to your feelings, and your sad movie marathon is destroying the town." "Oh no, the plants," Sophia said. Outside the window, entire trees were floating down the river that had been her driveway. She started to cry. "Stop!" Fatima shouted. "You need to control your emotions." "Okay," Sophia said, "but how?" Fatima thought for a moment. "Do your homework." "Perfect," Sophia said. "Homework doesn't make me happy or sad. It just makes me bored." Chapter 23, Dev. Every day after school, Dev walked into his house and said, "Mom, I'm home." This was usually her cue to give him a kiss on the forehead and make him a snack. Today his mom did not kiss him on the forehead. Instead, she screamed in terror. Then she chased him around the living room with a rolled-up newspaper trying to smash him. After Dev explained everything, she calmed down, mostly. Dev had become a spider boy. He had 8 limbs, 8 eyes, and the ability to make webs. Strangely, or perhaps not so strangely, his mother, Mrs. Darsha, had a hard time dealing with this. Every time she saw Dev come around the corner, she nearly had a heart attack. There was a child-sized arachnid in her house, and her bug-killing instincts kept kicking in. You see, Mrs. Darsha prided herself on keeping a very clean home. When she saw something with more than 4 legs, she wanted to kill it. When Spider Dev bumped into her in the hallway, she took off her shoe and tried to smash him. When Spider Dev joined the family for dinner, she tried to smash him with a frying pan. When Spider Dev joined her on the couch for movie night, she sprayed him with bug spray. "Mom, that burns," he screamed. "Well," she said, "it serves you right, you hideous monster. My beautiful son." Finally, Dev figured out a way to avoid his mom. He crawled around on the ceiling just out of Mrs. Darsha's reach. The worst part of the whole thing? Dev had wanted to become a spider boy. He thought having 8 limbs would mean he could play 4 video games at the same time. Unfortunately, it turns out spiders don't have thumbs. Chapter 24. We're in comic strip form. I don't know if you can all see that. The Pet-tastic Adventures of Fur Force. Wherever there's trouble, freeze. Wherever there's evil, wherever there's free food, you'll find us. You guys talk? Calling Fur Force, jewelry heist in progress. Time to talk tough. Oh yeah, you said it, partner. Meanwhile, across town, in a fancy jewelry store, this vacuum man is stealing all the jewels. To the hamster mobile. I can't fit in that, bro. Can you take the bus? Fur Force, go! There they are. The bus and the little hamster mobile is right there. Vacuum man, we should have known. Ha ha ha, look here. It's the fart force. That's Fur Force, pal. You're too late, blunder pets. I've already vacuumed up all the jewels. And how are you going to stop me? You going to whisker me to death? And you, what are you going to do? Hit me with expired milk? Ha 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 ha. Grrr, now they're angry. We don't need fists. We're going to use our words. The superpower of speech bubbles. That sounds lame and made up. Well, it isn't. Show me some speech food. Touchdown. Slap. Ouch. See, he's using the slap. Kapow. Bing bam boom. The Cape Critters defeated Vacuum Man with their super-powered speech bubbles. But before they could say superpower pet pizza party, something strange happened. Squeak? Moo? They had used up all their words. Moo, and went back to normal. Earl could only squeak, Touchdown could only moo, but the city would be talking about their heroic deeds forever. Vacuum Man is in jail thanks to the mysterious heroes. And this city thanks him. What? I know those dudes. So they became superhero comic strips. Chapter 25 is where we will have to pick it up for the last part. I think we'll be able to get it all done in the next segment. Thanks for listening.